All right, welcome back. Today's notes are going to continue working on factoring, but today we're going to say factoring with GCF, okay? And we've actually used the word GCF before, but we've called it something different. So let's just talk about what GCF is. GCF is the greatest common factor. So we're going to factor when there's a GCF to start. And this is going to be on page 29. So let's just start off with an example. Okay, let's start off with it would say something like factor (6x squared plus 15x plus 9). Okay. Now, we can just follow the same steps, right? You make an area model, you multiply the diagonals. But the first time I taught you how to factor, I didn't mention one more step. There is one step before all that, okay? And that first step is you're always going to look for anything they all have in common. Okay, that's always going to be your first step from now on when you're factoring. You're going to look at these, you're going to look at this expression and see if they have anything in common. And that is called the GCF. If they have anything in common, that's called the GCF. Well, let's look. We have 6x squared, we have a 15x, and we have a 9. Do they have anything in common? All three of those. Hopefully you realize that they all have a 3. So what you can do is you pull that 3 out to start. So we're factoring out a 3, and then we're going to get, well, if we take out a 3 from a 6x squared, you're left with 2x squared. If you pull out a 3 out of a 15x, that's a 15x. And then if you pull a 3 out of the 9, you're left with a 3. I didn't change the problem at all. I just factored out the GCF to start. And then all you do, step 2, is factor like normal. You're going to factor whatever's on the inside here, just like you do normally. So now the video is going to stop. You're going to factor that inside, put your answer in, and then the video is going to start again. So if I'm factoring the inside here, I'm going to start with my area model, just like I always do. I put in my first and last terms and multiply. So that'll be 6x squared, and then adding to 5x. We're trying to multiply to 6, add to 5, plus 3x, plus 2x. And then we find our GCFs around that. 2x squared and 2x. Those have a 2x in common. That one doesn't work. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good color to use. 3x and 3 have a 3 in common. 2x squared and 3x have an x. And then 2x and 3 have a 1. So then this becomes 2x plus 3 times x plus 1. But most important is you can't forget to bring down this 3 that we pulled out to begin with. That has to be included in our answer because that's part of our answer. Okay, and I'm going to put a little asterisk over here. And I wrote, don't forget to pull out the original GCF that you took out. Okay, and that's all that's going to change, is now you're just going to have to look for a number that they all have in common. So I'm going to give you 2 examples that I want you to try before I go over them. So go ahead and do these 2 problems. It's going to be (4x² minus 44x plus 12). Again, don't forget to pull out the GCF if there is one. And then the next example you're going to do is 4x² plus 10x minus 6. Okay, again, the video is going to pause. You're going to do the problems, and then it's going to start again. So on this first example, we have 4x² minus 44x plus 12. What do all those have in common? Hopefully you realize that they all have a 4, so I can pull out a 4. That'll be x² minus 11x plus 3. And then I'm just going to factor it like normal. We have x² plus 3, multiply. Did I write the problem down wrong? Oh, I apologize. You know what? I wrote that problem down wrong. This is supposed to be a 112. I apologize. So you probably got it not factorable, but now let's go ahead and do this one with me. Again, I apologize. So if I take out a 4 out of the 112, that's going to be a 28. So instead of writing 3 here, put 28. That's going to help us out a little bit. Sorry. So this is going to be a 28 up here. So that's 28x squared, adding to negative 11x. And I'll pause here for a second to make sure that you guys write that down. I apologize, I wrote that down wrong. So now when I figure out what multiplies to 28 and adds to negative 11, that's going to be a negative 7x and a negative 4x. So we get x minus 7, x minus 4, and I write down x minus 7 times x minus 4, but I can't forget to pull down my 4. So that's our final answer. And I'm sure that you guys got not factorable when you had the 12 in there, but hopefully that helps. All right. Now hopefully I didn't write down the third one wrong. Let me just double check. No, I did not. Okay. So 4x², 10, and negative 6, they all have a 2. So I'm going to pull out a 2. That'll leave me with 2x² plus 5x minus 3. And then we just factor it like normal. So we have 2x² minus 3. That'll be a negative 6x², adding to 5x. So multiplying a negative 6, adding to 5. That one's a little tricky. It's not 3 and 2 because this is a negative. This has to be positive 6 and a negative 1. So we get x plus 3, 2x minus 1. So 2x minus 1, x plus 3, and we bring down our 2. So that's our final factored form. All right, that's it for tonight.